Chu Qingyang's Moonlight, by Jiao Jiao, was injured and brought to our hospital for treatment. When we checked her blood, we found that she was an AIDS patient. After much hesitation, I told the truth to Chu Qingyang. By Jiao Jiao felt guilty and ran away, leaving a letter accusing me of deliberately slandering her. Chu Qingyang looked at me with hatred and threw the letter in my face. You broke us up, I will never let you have a peaceful life. He reported me for revealing patient privacy, causing me to lose my job, be subjected to online violence, and be tortured to death. In my second life, I did not tell Chu Qingyang the truth. AIDS, what is it to a pure love warrior? When I was reborn, I was clutching by Jiao Jiao's blood test report. My childhood neighbor, Chu Qingyang, stood in front of me, urging in an unfriendly tone, Lin Lin, hurry up and speak, how is Jiao Jiao's leg? My hand holding the report trembled slightly. It's not that Bai Jiao Jiao's leg injury was so serious, but rather that she was infected with AIDS. Bai Jiao Jiao is outspoken, charming, and has many ambiguous relationships with men, which has given her a bad reputation among classmates. Right now, she's just tired of playing and has come back to find Chu Qingyang, this unlucky fool, to take over. In my last life, I hesitated for a long time while holding this examination sheet, and in the end, I couldn't bear to watch Chu Qingyang ruin his life and told him that Bai Jiao Jiao had a serious infectious disease. Chu Qingyang was struck as if by lightning upon hearing my words and rushed to confront Bai Jiao Jiao. Of course, Bai Jiao Jiao would not admit it, crying like a rain-soaked pear flower, claiming that I was envious of her being with Chu Qingyang and was deliberately slandering her, before running away without looking back. Chu Qingyang searched for Bai Jiao Jiao everywhere but couldn't find her, and directly shifted his anger onto me. He burst into the hospital, slapped me twice, scolded me for being sinister and vicious, accusing me of leaking patient privacy and unworthy of being a doctor. He reported me and used all his connections in the small town to exclude me. I lost my job and became the malicious woman in everyone's eyes who would stop at nothing to ruin others' relationships, suffering humiliation and death. Before I died, I repeatedly told myself that no matter when or where, I would never meddle in others' affairs again. To my surprise, I actually had a second chance at life. When Chu Qingyang urged me for the third time, I finally began to regain my senses from the shock and replied calmly, the situation is a bit complicated, our hospital cannot perform this kind of surgery, and we need to transfer to a larger hospital for handling, in this lifetime. I will not be foolish enough to interfere in the karma of others. Upon hearing this, Chu Qingyang's expression became even more displeased, his already sharp tone growing even sharper. If you couldn't treat it, you should have said so earlier. You've made us waste so much time with your poor skills. I don't understand how you became a doctor. Looking at Chu Qingyang's condescending face, I felt disgusted and replied indifferently, there's no need for you to worry about this. Just hurry up and go, there are other patients waiting. Humph, it's not like I want to see you, mediocre doctor. Chu Qingyang let out a cold snort, turned around without looking back, and slammed the door as he left. Watching him leave, I felt inexplicably even more disgusted, because he performed better than me in studies. Chu Qingyang has looked down on me since we were young, often speaking harshly. Once he learned that I applied to medical school, he mocked me even more. With your dull appearance, you think you can be a doctor, you're thinking too much. At that time, I just thought he was outspoken and meant no harm. Looking back now, he was a vile person, full of malice towards plain-looking girls, and when he saw a beautiful and flamboyant woman like Bai Jiao Jiao, he would rush over like a sycophant, wishing he could kneel on the ground and bark like a dog. In my past life, I must have been blinded by ignorance to think I could save someone as despicable as him. Chu Qingyang quickly handled the transfer procedures for Bai Jiao Jiao. Watching this pair of cursed souls leave, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. The doctors in the department all knew that Bai Jiao Jiao had AIDS. Some couldn't help but sympathetically remark, this young man is also pitiful, kept in the dark all along. For a moment, I really wanted to tell him the truth. The national law stipulates that this belongs to patient privacy. Not even during a marriage check can one disclose this information to their partner, let alone just staying in the hospital. I sighed softly and advised, we should just do our jobs well and not gamble our careers on other people's consciences. In my previous life at medical school, the professor said that the biggest taboo for a doctor is to empathize too much with patients, otherwise, troubles will emerge endlessly. At that time, I couldn't understand it, but today I clearly understand through a lifetime of tragedy. In this life, I have not meddled too much. I hope Chu Qingyang and Bai Jiao Jiao can live happily together. Larger hospitals have more experience dealing with special cases. Bai Jiajia's leg surgery was successfully completed, and she was taken back home by Chu Qingyang for careful nursing. That morning, after finishing my night shift and heading home, I ran into Chu Qingyang returning from grocery shopping at the entrance of the neighborhood. He was carrying a full load of vegetables and fruits in both hands, looking down at me with a sneer that was clearly evident. Lin, I told you that your shabby hospital's medical skills are poor, right? You can't even handle a minor fracture surgery. You might as well sell roasted sweet potatoes on the street. In my previous life, every time I heard Chu Qingyang's ridicule, I would feel very upset. And sometimes I would secretly cry at home, but now, I didn't say anything, just bypassed him and continued walking forward. What did that sentence say again? Don't argue with fools about the length of things. For all these years, Chu Qingyang has never been so thoroughly ignored by me. He angrily said a few more things behind me, but I just pretended not to hear. Not just this time. I will never pay any attention to such fools again in the future. Perhaps I didn't check the calendar before going out today. After finally shaking off Chu Qingyang, I ran into Bai Jiajiao at the entrance of the building. Bai Jiajiao came out of the elevator leaning on her crutch. She paused for a moment when she saw me. I originally didn't want to pay attention to Bai Jiajiao, but just as I was about to pass by her, she called out to me, Lin, you already know, right? Bai Jiajiao's HIV did not just recently develop. Naturally, she wouldn't think, like that fool Chu Qingyang, that our hospital's medical skills are inadequate for her surgery. Know what? I glanced back at Bai Jiajiao and said lightly, your business has nothing to do with me. It better be. Bai Jiajiao's enchanting face lost a bit of color due to her guilt, but she soon huffed coldly with righteous indignation. I warn you not to meddle in other people's affairs. It's illegal for doctors to casually disclose patient privacy. If you dare to tell Chu Qingyang, I'll make sure you lose your job. Instead of threatening me, you might as well think about how to treat the illness. I ignored Bai Jiajiao, ready to press the elevator button to go upstairs, when I suddenly heard her scream from behind, Jiao. Chu Qingyang threw down the vegetables in his hand and rushed over to hug Bai Jiajiao, glaring at me with a sinister look. Lin, you have such a vicious mindset. Even when Jiao is like this, you still pushed her. I looked at Chu Qingyang, too lazy to explain, and simply said, then you might as well call the police. Faced with others' doubts, people often inexplicably fall into a strange loop of self-justification, thus ignoring the fact that they were originally innocent. In my previous life, I was kidnapped by this kind of self-evident emotion, which led me to be caught up in the endless whirlpool of public opinion, ultimately resulting in a mental breakdown. In this life, the tragedy will never repeat itself. The law states that whoever claims in a civil dispute must provide evidence. If he wants to make a fuss, let him find the evidence himself. Chu Qingyang and Bai Jiajiao clearly did not expect me to say such a thing, especially Bai Jiajiao, who didn't even have time to perform her prepared green tea drama, was choked back. Her expression was simply more colorful than a spilled paint palette. After a brief moment of confusion, Chu Qingyang held Bai Jiajiao even tighter, with her hair standing up like a fighting chicken. If you want to report this, go ahead. Today I will let the neighbors see how vicious you are, even bullying a patient. I ignored Chu Qingyang, treating her like a mad dog barking beside me, and went straight into the elevator. Outside the elevator, Bai Jiajiao was sobbing pitifully. Qingyang, it's my fault. Lin has always liked you so much. It's understandable that she would have grievances seeing us together. When Bai Jiajiao mentioned me, Chu Qingyang reacted as if she had heard some ominous words, immediately responding, Jiajiao, please don't misunderstand. It's always her who is pestering me. I have no feelings for her at all. Entanglement. Hearing these two words, I can only feel a deep sense of irony. After repeatedly showering Bai Jiajiao with attention without receiving any response, Chu Qingyang turned his pursuit towards me, although I have a bit of childhood affection for him. Watching him bow and scrape to Bai Jiajiao for so many years made me feel uncomfortable. I resolutely refused from the very beginning. It was Chu Qingyang who was unwilling to give up on me, a suitable economical wife, and kept pursuing me relentlessly until Bai Jiajiao reappeared and he finally calmed down. Now, coming from his mouth, it has turned into me entangling him. What a shameless scoundrel he is. I know. Bai Jiajiao pretended to understand and nodded, looking empathetic. She has suffered enough from unrequited love, so let's not stoop to her level. Bai Jiajiao's pitiful appearance almost melted Chu Qingyang's heart as he gently said, Jiao, you're just too kind. Why show mercy to such a vicious woman? Ugh. Fortunately, the elevator door closed quickly, otherwise, I would have felt so nauseated that I might have thrown up the leftover food from last night. When I got home, before I could even change my clothes, the phone rang. Looking closely, it was a call from Chu Qingyang's mother. Thinking that although Chu Qingyang was a jerk, his mother had treated me fairly well over the years, I hesitated for a moment but ultimately answered the call. Lin, Qingyang was just momentarily blinded by the fat in his heart. That's why he was captivated by that vixen by Jiao. Your Uncle Chu and I absolutely won't agree to them being together. We only recognize you as our daughter-in-law. On the other end of the line, Chu's mother's voice was noticeably impatient. Without waiting for me to respond, she continued, speaking of which, men are all attracted to beautiful women. You should take good care of your appearance and make sure to win Qingyang's heart as soon as possible. That's the important thing. What kind of nonsense is this? Do they really think their family has a throne to inherit, that any woman must bow low and humbly cater to their prince? I suddenly felt disgusted. And the little remaining goodwill I had towards Chu's mother vanished without a trace. Coldly, I said, Auntie, I am just neighbors with Chu Qingyang. He pursued me unilaterally before, but I never agreed, and it's even less likely for me to be with him in the future. After saying that, I hung up the phone directly. Mama Chu's phone quickly rang one after another, and seeing that I wasn't answering, she simply resorted to bombarding me with texts. Lin. As a girl who has caused the death of both her parents, you will be bullied and despised wherever you marry. If you don't hold on to Qingyang well, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. You better think it through. My patience is limited. If you miss this chance, don't even think about getting into my house on your knees. When a person is angry, they can best express their truest inner thoughts. I was originally puzzled as to how Mama and Papa Chu could be such good people but raised someone as scheming as Chu Qingyang. It seems now that the whole family has a similar temperament. It's just that his parents disguise it better. You must live to be 100 years old. Don't let your son cause your death. Who knows, you might even outlive him. After replying to this message, I directly blocked all contact information of Mama Chu and her son. Putting down the phone, I sat on the sofa and let out a long sigh. This house was left to me by my late parents. Although it's not big, its location is convenient, making commuting very easy. Unfortunately, Chu Qingyang and Bai Jiao live next door, and the parents of Chu also live in the same community. If I continue to live here, I'll have to see this family every day. Bai Jiao was able to take advantage of Chu Qingyang, who was infatuated with her. Who knows if she might try to take advantage of me? The one who knows the truth. Although the transmission routes of AIDS are not many, there's no such thing as a 1,000-day guard against thieves. To prevent any misfortune, it's better to move out as soon as possible. These two will definitely not end up well if they keep getting involved with each other. I don't even need to take revenge. I just want to stay as far away from them as possible for the rest of my life. I decided to act immediately, contacted a real estate agent to list the house for sale, and also looked at nearby communities online, thinking about using the proceeds from selling the house to cover my current savings and move into a bigger and more comfortable house. While I was busy looking for a new house, Chu Qingyang was also busy. He kept posting love videos with Bai Jiao on his social media, as if he wanted everyone to know that he had finally won the goddess of his past. To erase the shame of being a dog for several years in school, he even paid for the class reunion himself, inviting all the classmates to witness their great love. The class group is like a small society. No matter what people think in their hearts, at the gathering, they can't help but offer their compliments, raising their glasses to celebrate Chu Qingyang's success in winning the love of the girl he had been chasing for years, greatly satisfying Chu Qingyang's vanity. Some of my acquaintances privately mentioned this matter, and they couldn't help but feel indignant. Chu Qingyang is really shameful. He chased after Bai Jiao for so long and she never responded, but now he just moves his finger and quickly gets close to her. Exactly. I heard that Bai Jiao has been mingling outside for years. She must have been played enough and has come back to Chu Qingyang to take over. What does taking over mean? I'm just worried about bringing back some messy diseases. I was waiting for this sentence, seizing the opportunity to make a hesitant expression, but in the end, I only advised, we should not get involved in their affairs, since our paths are different. If they invite you out to eat in the future, try not to go. I could only say this much. As for any implied meanings, they would have to figure it out themselves. It proves that being low-key is always better, once it gets too high profile. It's easy to have problems. 2 months later, Chua Qingyang spent a fortune to hold a grand proposal ceremony, making Bai Jiajiao the heroine of his fairy tale. At such a happy moment, Bai Jiajiao naturally couldn't be idle and specifically came to show off to me. Lin Lin, you are really pitiful. The person you loved for so many years was unattainable, but with just a little sign from me, he is completely devoted, proving that a woman's looks and figure are the most important. Nothing else matters, just like you said. Why didn't you dare to tell Chu Qingyang about your illness? I looked at Bai Jiajiao with a half smile, my words carrying an unmistakable tone of provocation. Why just brag to me? It's not enough. You should celebrate with everyone to show off your charm. Bai Jiajiao has never been someone who stays in one place. She's most skilled at self-destruction. I had already expected her to come and brag to me, and this response was also pre-prepared. After being mocked by me, she would definitely feel more and more resentful, and it's very likely she would post on social media to show off. Of course, she could also choose not to do so. Whether she would quietly harm Chu Qingyang or push herself into an irreversible situation depends entirely on her. Last time, wasn't she firm in her claim that I was slandering her? If this blows up this time, I'd like to see how she would prove her innocence. Bai Jiajiao was indeed someone who couldn't keep her composure. That same day, she opened a secondary account, posting in a tone that was both smug and arrogant. I've dated more than 30 boyfriends, had about 7 abortions, and got infected with a severe infectious disease. He doesn't know anything, loves me so much that he even gave me 200,000 yuan as a dowry. Do you think that's annoying? Bai Jiajiao's shameless remarks quickly caused a huge stir online. She thought that by hiding her ID and not showing her face, everything would be fine. However, in the internet age, everything has traces. Soon, some netizens uncovered a video of Chu Qingyang proposing to Bai Jiajiao. As the video spread widely, someone recognized Bai Jiajiao and exposed her past of being involved with multiple men. There were even videos of her being beaten by the mistress when she was a mistress. As for the infectious disease, few people knew about it, unfortunately. Bai Jiajiao bravely revealed it herself, making it known to everyone. Chu Qingyang, this century's big fool, was quickly uncovered. Many kind netizens left comments on his social media account, advising him to turn back. Some people even forwarded news pages to the high school group, praising him as the greatest pure love warrior of the 21st century. Of course, whether it's praise or mockery, everyone knows clearly in their heart, unfortunately. Chu Qingyang is really not worthy of the title of the pure love warrior. After learning the truth, he immediately broke up with Bai Jiajiao, slapped her several times, and kicked her out of the house. I silently shook my head. The so-called iron heart of a man is actually so fragile. I don't know who said it, that no matter what happens, one will always love Bai Jiajiao. Promises are indeed the cheapest thing in the world. Only I have the time to reflect, but the person involved, Chu Qingyang, didn't even remember his loyal love, and had already run to the hospital in a panic for tests. The different physiological characteristics between men and women determine that the probability of AIDS being transmitted from a woman to a man is much lower than from a man to a woman. Chu Qingyang had been inseparable from Bai Jiajiao these days, and had fortunately not been infected. However, this result did not allow him to rest easy. He went crazy and bought withdrawal medication from the disease control center, not listening to anyone's advice. After switching hospitals and repeatedly testing, he was finally confirmed not to be infected, and then gradually regained his sanity. This incident caused a big commotion among relatives, friends, and the company, and Chu Qingyang, who used to have a good reputation, was completely turned into a laughingstock in people's conversations. This is nothing. More serious troubles are coming one after another. Bai Jiajiao was previously kept by a nouveau riche in a big city, and when the nouveau riche found out she was sick, he decisively kicked her out. Unwilling to let things go to waste, she looted all the valuable items in the nouveau riche's villa and sold them for over $1 million, escaping back to her hometown. The nouveau riche wasn't short of money and had no intention of pursuing the matter, which gradually faded from memory. Now, however, Bai Jiajiao's incident has blown up online, drawing the nouveau riche's attention again. Ironically, the nouveau riche just went bankrupt a few days ago. The $1 million he previously disregarded is now a substantial amount that he can't let go of. Thus, the creditors soon came knocking, forcing Bai Jiajiao to repay her debts, and inevitably also confronting Bai Jiajiao's legal husband, Chu Qingyang. Not only did Chu Qingyang get beaten, But even Chu's parents were implicated, living every day under the insults and threats of the debt collectors. Good deeds are not spread far, while bad deeds travel 1,000 miles. Soon, everyone in the neighborhood knew that Bai Jiaojiao had contracted a severe contagious disease. Even though Chu Qingyang and his parents were not infected, they were seen as a great threat, and people avoided them at all costs. Originally, Chu's parents had a good reputation in the neighborhood, but now they were avoided by people as soon as they went out. Forget about playing cards or dancing in the square, even the market vendors would immediately close their doors upon seeing them. The Chu family parents went gray overnight. Knowing they couldn't continue living here, they quietly sold the house and moved back to the countryside. Chu Qingyang hated Bai Jiaojiao to the bone, wishing that the debt collector would directly kill her. Of course, he wouldn't pay her debts. Coincidentally, Bai Jiaojiao became pregnant with Chu Qingyang's child, and it was already 2 months along when it was discovered. At this point, Bai Jiaojiao no longer cared about her face. She climbed up to the rooftop and accused Chu Qingyang of abandoning her. If he abandoned her at that moment, she would jump off the building to take them both down. In the small town, Chu Qingyang was considered a respectable person. Seeing that if this continued, he would likely lose his job, he was forced to compromise and mortgage their marital home to pay off Bai Jiaojiao's debts. This chaotic time has barely come to an end. The real estate market in the small town has been sluggish for the past 2 years. My house has been on the market for months with very little interest, and for now, I can only continue living here. Fortunately, I mostly live a routine of leaving early and returning late, and I occasionally stay in the hospital dormitory, so I haven't been disturbed. As for Bai Jiaojiao, she was completely kicked out by Chu Qingyang as soon as the house was mortgaged. It is said that Bai Jiaojiao went to Chu Qingyang's company 3 times a day to make a scene. The company, unable to bear it, had to send someone out on a business trip, and no one knew where she went to hide. When classmates mentioned Chu Qingyang, they couldn't help but sigh. Someone couldn't help but exclaim, "A love-struck mind really is no good." If Chu Qingyang had treated you well back then, who knows how happy you would be now. Hearing this, I simply shook my head indifferently. I never liked him, not in the past and certainly not in the future. As for the others, every adult should take responsibility for their actions. No one else will bear the consequences for them. Life goes on blandly, as if this entire farce is just a small interlude. That day, after getting off work and heading home, I had to take the package left at the door inside as usual. Just as I reached out, I suddenly caught a glimpse out of the corner of my eye and noticed something shiny on the gray package box. Carefully picking it up to take a look, I found that a thin injection needle was stuck at the sealing point of the package box. The needle even had fresh blood on it. It is obvious that someone deliberately placed it in the package. The hall light is dim, and such a small needle is hard to notice. If I had gone to retrieve it as I did before, I would definitely have pricked my finger. I looked at the tightly closed door across the way. No need to think. It must have been Bai Jiaojiao who did it. She contracted an infectious disease herself and couldn't wait to infect me too. How vicious. In my past life, I originally didn't plan to seek revenge. After all, no matter what my intentions were, I shouldn't have exposed Bai Jiaojiao's privacy to Chu Qingyang. Everything that followed can also be considered a self-caused disaster. In this life, I did nothing, yet she wanted to drag me down to hell. She shouldn't blame me for sending her straight to hell. Since we are going to make a fuss, we should make it a big one. I directly took a photo of the needle and sent it to the community group, throwing out a terrified question: what is this thing? How did it end up in the delivery bag? Neighbors, be careful when picking up your packages. There are many people in the group, and it's a matter of safety. Soon someone responded, damn, it can't be malicious spread of infectious diseases, right? Didn't someone used to put needles on shared bicycles? I wonder who is so heartless. Who else could it be? That Bai Jiaojiao who lived across from her was infected with an infectious disease before. Don't worry about so much, hurry up and call the police. I was so scared that I lost my composure and actively followed the neighbor's advice to call 110 immediately. The police arrived quickly, took the needle to the police station for testing, and confirmed that the blood residue in the syringe contained the HIV virus. It must be Bai Jiaojiao. She is deliberately retaliating against society. I was so frightened and wrong that tears streamed down my face. She wanted to have surgery at our hospital before, and during the examination, it was found that she was an HIV patient. She warned me not to tell her family, otherwise she would complain and get me fired. I didn't say anything, but she still hated me. The police saw that I was emotionally agitated and quickly comforted me. don't worry, the survival ability of the HIV virus outside the human body is very low, even if you didn't touch the syringe, even if you did, you wouldn't get infected. Under the police's comfort, my emotions gradually calmed down. And I kept requesting them to catch the murderer without allowing her to continue to harm society. The police reviewed the community surveillance footage and indeed saw Bai Jiajiao wrapped up tightly, sneaking into the building where I lived. Following the clues, they quickly captured Bai Jiajiao. Maliciously spreading AIDS is a crime of intentional harm, and even if it is not completed, it must still be punished. However, Bai Jiajiao is currently pregnant. And as soon as she arrived at the police station, she claimed to feel unwell and was urgently sent to the hospital, where she was diagnosed with signs of a threatened miscarriage and needed to be hospitalized for bed rest. The final result was merely a reprimand, and everything would be dealt with after she gave birth to the child. I have no objections to this outcome, because I have already found a suitable buyer for my house. The transaction went smoothly, and I was able to buy the house I liked and move into a new home. Given by Jiajia's temperament, she will definitely not stay quiet, but she can no longer threaten me. She can only endlessly entangle Chu Qingyang. Thinking about this scene, I feel exhilarated. After moving, I thought I would never see Chu Qingyang and Bai Jiao again in this lifetime, but unexpectedly, not long after, I encountered these two again in the hospital corridor. At this moment, Bai Jiao's belly had already bulged, yet Chu Qingyang showed no signs of pity, slapping her hard across the face. "You filthy woman, I have been sincere to you, yet you have caused me to fall to this state. How can you still have the face to ask me for money?" Chu Qingyang's job had a formal position. The company couldn't just fire him because he had a relative who was a crazy person infected with a contagious disease. But there was no one among his colleagues who wasn't afraid. They all avoided him. After all, no one knew when he might get infected, so it was safer to keep a distance. Originally, Chu Qingyang was a hot commodity within the company, being a key individual for training, but now the promotion slots had long been taken by others. He could only muddle through, living off handouts, with no future to speak of. For someone as proud and arrogant as Chu Qingyang, this was worse than being killed. The root cause of all this trouble was Bai Jiao. The fact that Chu Qingyang hadn't killed Bai Jiao was already a sign of his emotional stability. How could he possibly be nice to her? Bai Jiajiao was absolutely not willing to back down, and spat a mouthful of saliva on Chu Qingyang's face. What kind of bullshit sincerity is this? Isn't it just greed for my beauty? If I just beckon with my finger, you come over like a lovesick dog. If I had no issues, how could I possibly fall for you? Lies are not terrifying, the truth is the sharp knife. Chu Qingyang has always been proud and arrogant, and Bai Jiajiao's scornful and contemptuous gaze at that moment was like stabbing a knife into his heart. Without even thinking, he raised his hand and slapped her hard. "Shameless wench, if it weren't for you coming back to provoke me, I would have been living a stable life, marrying Lin Lin and having children. How could I have gotten involved with you, the harbinger of doom?" Upon hearing this, I just felt the irony instantly skyrocketing. In my past life, when Bai Jiajiao fled in guilt, Chu Qingyang firmly told me that even if Bai Jiajiao contracted AIDS, so what? No matter how Bai Jiajiao changes, she will always be his one and only Bai Yuiguang in his heart, and his love for her is unwavering. I thought the love of the pure love war god was something that could shake heaven and earth, but it turned out to be so fragile. Chu Qingyang used all his strength in those two slaps, and blood had already seeped from the corner of Bai Jiajiao's mouth. Just as she was about to say something while covering her face, she raised her eyes and saw me, smiling faintly with indifference. "Hey, isn't this your long-cherished childhood friend? Unfortunately, you're not even worthy of tying her shoes now." Chu Qingyang suddenly turned around. His eyes, which were originally hazy, suddenly flashed with a complex sharpness. I furrowed my brow slightly and muttered to myself that I should have checked the calendar before leaving home today, as I had run into this pair of crazy people again. Chu Qingyang had already rushed forward and tightly grabbed my wrist. "Lin Lin, you already knew that Bai Jiajiao was sick, didn't you?" I shook off Chu Qingyang's hand and took a step back to create some distance between us, completely ignoring his questioning gaze. "How would I know about your affairs? You knew when Bai Jiajiao had her physical examination at your hospital last time. You were clearly about to say something but held back." Chu Qingyang's gloomy face became even more grotesque with anger, and he roared almost desperately, "Lin Lin, you have a really cold heart. You don't care about the friendship we've had since we were kids. You just watched me jump into the fire and let me die without helping, and you want me to die of the disease. don't you? Friendship, the previous life. I was too concerned about so-called nonsense of sentiment, which made me violate my professional ethics and tell Chu Qingyang the truth, leading to such a miserable situation. To bear the consequences for others without fault is truly pitiful. This miserable and desperate outcome was originally something Chu Qingyang sought and should have endured. The only thing is that I, this unfortunate fool, am no longer there to shield him, no matter now or in the future. I will not interfere with anyone's karma or bear anyone's fate again. I don't want to know. Even if I do know, doctors don't have the right to disclose patient privacy. You, a mean and despicable neighbor, are not worth me risking my entire career. I looked up and met Chu Qingyang's gaze, my eyes holding not the slightest guilt or regret he had hoped for, but only deep contempt and indifference. The account is clear. The debt is clear. The person who knowingly concealed her serious infectious disease and was with you is Bai Jiajiao. The one who should be responsible for your failed life is definitely her, and has nothing to do with anyone else. After saying that, I walked away from Chu Qingyang and Bai Jiajiao as if they were a plague. People strive for higher places, water flows to lower ones. After days and nights of hard work, I have already obtained the opportunity to study at a famous university abroad. And I will leave in 3 days. Today is the day I came to the hospital to resign. From now on, the people and things here have nothing to do with me. Lin, you shameless woman, stop right there. Perhaps my confident demeanor pierced Bai Jiajia's fragile heart, and just after taking 2 steps, I suddenly heard her hysterical scream from behind. It's all because of you, you set me up. It's because of you that so many people know I have an infectious disease. For incapable people, all misfortunes are someone else's fault. They never reflect on themselves. They deserve such an ending. I disdained to argue with her, continuing to walk forward without looking back, yet I heard her becoming more hysterical. I want to kill you. While speaking, I didn't know where Bai Jiajiao had gotten a small knife from, and she stabbed it straight towards me. Her hand holding the knife was already cut and bleeding. If I got injured, the consequences would be unimaginable. Without thinking, I grabbed the folder in my hand and smashed it onto Bai Jiajiao's face. The folder has no weight and cannot harm Bai Jiajiao, but it can temporarily block her line of sight, allowing me to narrowly evade the attack. She missed her target and stumbled, falling to the ground, where she was controlled by the security guards who rushed over upon hearing the commotion. At that moment, I had nothing to hold back and shouted loudly, "Be careful not to get hurt by her, she has AIDS." With the internet being so developed, many colleagues and patients who witnessed the scene on social media couldn't help but curse her in silence. Hurry and call the police. This heartless woman deserves to be sent to prison. Exactly, hurry and call the police. The crowd was filled with righteous indignation, but I, the victim, could only smile bitterly and shake my head slightly, saying, "Forget it, let's spare her for now. It's already pitiful enough that she has this disease and is pregnant." A colleague, still shaken, said, "How can this be? She's just a madwoman. What if she hurts you again? AIDS is not something to take lightly. If you were to get infected, your life would become troublesome for the rest of it." I still shook my head, saying, "It's fine, I'm going abroad in a few days and I won't run into her again. Bai Jiajia didn't really hurt me. She's also pregnant. Even if she was sent to the police station again, the result would be the same as before, and there wouldn't be any serious punishment. Since that's the case, it's better to let her torment Chu Qingyang outside. Chu Qingyang once boasted that he would give everything for his love, so let him enjoy it well. Because of my mercy." Bai Jiajiao wasn't held accountable again, just kicked out of the hospital by security guards. Chu Qingyang, however, wouldn't leave at all. He followed me closely, saying, Lin, I'm sorry, I couldn't protect you. You can rest assured, I will never let Bai Jiajiao hurt you again. Protect, no matter in this life or the previous one. Chu Qingyang has never protected me even a little. Saying this now makes me feel embarrassed for him. I didn't say these words out loud, just said coldly, "You should be protecting not me, but Bai Jiajiao. No matter what she did, she is the mother of your child, and you can't ignore her. This child isn't what I wanted." Chu Qingyang roared in an agitated voice. Instinctively, he took a step forward. Seeing me frown and step back, he pulled his hand back, and only asked tentatively, "If I break up with Bai Jiajiao, would you be with me?" "No," I shook my head firmly. "With this child here, you can never separate." This statement is double-edged and can have different meanings. To understand which layer of meaning, it depends solely on Chu Qingyang himself. Sure enough, Chu Qingyang looked at me deeply, as if understanding something, and repeatedly said, Lin, don't worry, I know what to do, alright, I'll be watching closely. Although pregnant women with severe infectious diseases can give birth to healthy children, Chu Qingyang hates Bai Jiao to the core. How could he allow her to give birth to his own child? Humph, who wants to see you, quack. There are only thieves with 1,000 days, not guards against thieves for 1,000 days. Seeing that Bai Jiao was being particularly cautious about her diet, and Chu Qingyang couldn't find an opportunity to act, he decided to take a different approach and secretly scattered small glass marbles on the steps outside the door. Bai Jiao stepped on something by accident when she went out and fell heavily to the ground. When she was taken to the hospital, she was only barely alive. Chu Qingyang insisted it was an accident, even though Bai Jiao cried and screamed, demanding to report it and get an explanation. There was no evidence to support her claims, and the matter eventually went nowhere. The long-term public pressure had already made Bai Jiao feel suffocated. Her unborn child was her only source of emotional support. Now that the child was gone, she completely lost her mind and went to Chu Qingyang's workplace, threatening to jump off a building. Chu Qingyang pulled Bai Jiao into the car to take her to a mental hospital. They had a heated argument in the car, and in a fit of anger, Chu Qingyang somehow set the car on fire. Chu Qingyang escaped in time and only suffered minor scratches. Bai Jiao, weakened by her condition, couldn't escape in time and was burned alive in the car. Chu Qingyang was arrested by the Public Security Bureau on suspicion of intentional homicide. A few days later, I received a call from Chu's mother using someone else's phone. She no longer had her usual arrogance and was crying, begging me to visit Chu Qingyang in the detention center. I didn't think twice before refusing. My relationship with Chu Qingyang had long been over. Later on, I heard that Chu Qingyang had gone completely mad. He kept insisting to others in the detention center that he was reborn, claiming he knew he was wrong, that in his last life he shouldn't have held a grudge against me for my good-hearted reminders, and that he shouldn't have treated me with such contempt. Of course, no one believes in the elusive concept of rebirth, and Chu Qingyang was soon sent to a mental hospital, where a more painful torment awaited him. I just smiled and ignored these remarks. Past events, right or wrong, have become unimportant. The only thing I need to do is to pick up the future that was carelessly ruined in my last life and become an excellent orthopedic doctor, bringing hope for recovery to more patients. The future is long, and I will always be on the road. Story 2. At my funeral, I found that my boyfriend of 2 years and my best friend were laughing recklessly. In the corner, however, Lu Jingqing, my sworn enemy who had been against me since childhood, was crying his heart out with his head in his hands. I jolted up in my dying state, realizing that I had lived my life in vain all these years. Suddenly, a line of glowing words appeared in front of my eyes. Dear, watch the advertisement to be resurrected and reborn. 1. After watching a 25-second brain gold advertisement, I was reborn and returned to my senior year of high school. The moment my vision was restored, I saw Lu Jingqing, who was leaning beside me and smiling at me. Instantly, tears streamed down my face. Lu Jingqing regained his previous unruly look in an instant. When he turned his head and saw me crying, he panicked again. No, a term of endearment, can be translated as, my dear girl, I didn't bully you. Why are you crying? I didn't want to cry either, but the scenes from my previous life were too harsh. I dried my tears, looked at Lu Jingqing, who was looking for toilet paper for me, and rushed into his arms directly. He was hugged by me, and his hand froze in midair instantly. His ears turned red immediately. Jiang Qiqi, what are you doing? After a while, he realized that I was acting a bit abnormal and was about to push me away. I tightened my arms around him. Can you stay still and let me hug you for a while? After I said that, Lu Jingqing really didn't move until I released my arms around him. After letting go of him, I blinked my eyes at him. He reacted and turned around and ran away. I looked at his back, feeling mixed emotions inside. Lu Jingqing and I had been engaged since childhood, but I didn't like him, because ever since I could remember, my unreliable stepmother had told me that my father arranged the engagement between me and Lu Jingqing just for the sake of profit. At first, I didn't believe it, but until I actually saw the assets of Lu Jingqing's family, and with my stepmother repeating in my ear day after day and year after year that I would lose my freedom if I married Lu Jingqing, I began to hate Lu Jingqing. Whenever I saw him, I would speak harshly to him. At first, Lu Jingqing would patiently explain to me, but I wouldn't listen. Later, when I went to junior high school and was in the same class as Lu Jingqing, he also became rebellious. When I scolded him, he would retort me without mercy. It was from that time on that Lu Jingqing and I became the kind of people who couldn't stand each other. In the year of high school, I made a very good friend, her name was Meng Qing, but Lu Jingqing wouldn't let me play with her, saying that she wasn't a good person. I still remember that day when I firmly shook off Lu Jingqing's hand and told him, I like everything that you don't like. Since then, Lu Jingqing never came to find me again. And through my so-called good friend, I had my first love in my life. After the college entrance examination, when I learned that Lu Jingqing went to study in City A, I applied for a school in City B. The two cities were more than 2,000 kilometers apart, and I never saw that boy who made me unhappy every day again. In my sophomore year of college, I finally got my wish and dissolved the engagement with Lu Jingqing. And I also died that afternoon because of a car accident. After I died, I found out that my so-called best friend Meng Qing was actually the biological daughter of my stepmother, and my favorite boyfriend Song Yishuan was an actor that she had hired with a large sum of money. My life was like a joke, and the only redemption in this joke was pushed away by me with my own hands. 2. Chi-Chi, are you going to the coffee shop after school? I'll introduce a friend to you. My thoughts were interrupted, and Meng Qing appeared in front of me. I frowned and looked down at my phone. October 24, 2015. Today was the day when I met Song Yishuan. Seeing that I didn't speak, Meng Qing took my hand. Chi-Chi, accompany me, a super handsome guy will come this afternoon. You'll definitely be disappointed if you don't come. I resisted the urge to roll my eyes and blinked my eyes, pretending to be innocent. How handsome is he? Is he more handsome than Lu Jingqing? If he's not more handsome than him, I won't go. Meng Qing was about to reply, but the moment she heard Lu Jingqing's name, she was stunned. It took her a long time to ask, Chi-Chi, you don't like Lu Jingqing, do you? Why are you mentioning him? I closed the textbook in front of me and leaned against the bench. Who said I don't like Lu Jingqing? As soon as I finished speaking, Meng Qing seemed to panic and quickly started speaking ill of Lu Jingqing. Chi-Chi, how can a person like him be worthy of your liking? He bullies you every day. I can't stand it. Are you confused because of a fever? After Meng Qing finished speaking, she reached out to touch my forehead. I opened her hand in disgust. Who has a fever? It's you who has a fever. How is Lu Jingqing not worthy of my liking? I'm telling you, I, Jiang Chi-Chi, like Lu Jingqing the most in my life. I will marry no one but him. As soon as I finished speaking, there came the sound of a glass breaking at the door. I looked in the direction of the sound. It was Lu Jingqing, who had just come back after getting water. Suddenly, my face turned red all the way to the back of my ears. A sense of shame welled up in my heart, and I instinctively crouched under the desk, praying in my heart, he didn't hear it, he didn't hear it, he didn't hear it. Under the desk, I saw a pair of Nike shoes striding towards me. A somewhat amused voice of Lu Jingqing came from above my head. Jiang Chi-Chi, what are you doing? I bit my lip, gently patted my face, and then pretended that nothing had happened and replied, nothing. My pen dropped, I'm picking it up, haha. As soon as I finished speaking, another head appeared under the desk. The moment I met his eyes, the blush that had just faded from my face rushed up again. Lu Jingqing smiled gently. Did you pick up the pen? I felt like crying but had no tears. Then I fled in a hurry. 3. For the rest of the afternoon, I instinctively avoided Lu Jingqing. When school was over, I took my school bag and rushed out of the classroom like a mouse. At night, I hid under the quilt. Every time I thought of Lu Jingqing, my heart would pound. It was a feeling that I had never had when I was with Song Yishuan before. I touched my chest and murmured to myself, this should be liking, right? Early the next morning, I was walking towards the classroom with soy milk in my hand. I was wondering whether I should avoid Lu Jingqing today. As a result, without paying attention, I bumped into someone. The soy milk spilled all over me. I looked at the person in front of me, and there was also soy milk on him. I instinctively apologized. The other person seemed to have expected it and took out a pack of toilet paper from his pocket. Classmate, it's me who should say sorry. You can wipe it first. A familiar voice sounded. I looked up and met Song Yishuan's gaze. Why did I still meet him? At this time, Meng Qing somehow popped out. I instantly understood everything. So they were acting here. Hey, Yishuan, why are you here? Wait a minute, Chi-Chi, what happened to you? I frowned and didn't want to watch Meng Qing acting hypocritically here. I turned around and was about to leave, but a figure blocked my way one step ahead of me. Why are you so careless? I looked up and met Lu Jingqing's beautiful eyes. When Meng Qing saw Lu Jingqing, her eyes lit up and she quickly smiled and said, it's okay. Let Yishuan take Chi-Chi to deal with it. We should go back to class first. I rolled my eyes. She really worked hard and still wanted to create a space for us to be alone. How could I fall for it this time? No need, no need. Before I could finish speaking, Lu Jingqing had already refused her one step ahead and took my hand and led me away. Lu Jingqing walked very fast, and I could only trot to keep up. When I looked back, I saw Meng Qing staring at me viciously. When she saw me looking at her, she immediately put on a smiling face again. It's really disgusting. I was taken downstairs by Lu Jingqing all the way. I shook off his hand and squatted on the ground, panting. Why don't you play with your good best friend anymore? Lu Jingqing stood beside me with his arms crossed. I waved my hand and stood up from the ground. Good best friend? Who said she's my good best friend? Lu Jingqing found it a bit funny and looked at me. Who said a few days ago that Meng Qing is my Jian Qiqi's best friend in this life and no one can separate us two? He imitated my previous tone and repeated what I had said. He's so petty. He actually remembered this matter until now. But come to think of it, I did do such a thing. I also said that I would never like you in my life, I murmured in a low voice. He suddenly leaned closer. What did you say? I bit my lip and stepped on his foot hard. I'm not saying it anymore. After that, I turned around and left. After I went to the toilet and wiped the soy milk off my body, I got up and was about to go back to the classroom for class. As soon as I walked out of the toilet door, I saw the familiar figure of Song Yishuan again. When he saw me, he immediately walked forward. He had already changed into a set of clothes and then took out a pack of toilet paper from his pocket again. Before I could speak, he had already pulled out a piece of paper and reached out to help me wipe the wet place on my body. Sorry, classmate, I was too careless. I didn't have time to apologize to you properly just now. Let me wipe it clean for you. I jumped back like a catapult, creating a distance between us. His hand froze in place, and he pushed the glasses on his nose awkwardly. This action instantly awakened my previous memories. Whenever Song Yishuan was angry before, he would instinctively push his glasses. At first, I didn't understand. Later, after I knew it, as soon as his hand touched his glasses, I would rush towards him like a sycophant and keep apologizing. Strangely enough, I didn't like him at that time, but I still couldn't help but try to please him. But just now, I understood. I was played by him. No, it was my carelessness. I still have to go to class. I'm leaving now. Now that I had suddenly understood, I hated Song Yishuan even more. I raised my foot and ran away in one go. Song Yishuan still wanted to reach out to stop me, but I was already out of sight. When I returned to the classroom, the class bell just rang. This class was math. I saw that there was a different person sitting next to my seat. It was Meng Qing. When she saw me, she smiled and pulled me towards the seat. I sat in my seat, and Meng Qing immediately leaned over. Qiqi, I'll have this class with you. Hee, I frowned. Who wants to have class with you? You'd better go back. I can't listen to the class properly with you here. She didn't seem to hear the impatience in my tone and actually rubbed against my arm. Come on, it's just one class. Qiqi can still learn even if you don't listen. I felt speechless. If it were in my previous life, I would have been carried away by this sentence of hers. I opened my mouth. But the teacher had already stepped into the classroom one step ahead. It was too late. I held my forehead and stopped talking. 5. This was a math class. High school math was extremely difficult. Missing one class might require half a day of making up after class. I picked up the textbook and focused on listening to the teacher. Meng Qing was unhappy and started to find topics to talk to me about. Qiqi, you scared me to death this morning. Fortunately, you weren't scalded, otherwise I would have been so heartbroken. I remained silent. Come on, did you see that guy you bumped into this morning? Isn't he super handsome? He's the guy I wanted to introduce to you yesterday. I took a deep breath and forced a smile. He's so handsome. If you like him, do you want me to help you chase him? Her smile froze on her face. After hesitating for a while, she ignored my question and continued. His name is Song Yishuan. He's a transfer student in class 8. When I talked to him last time and mentioned you, teacher, I'm sorry, I didn't understand this question. Could you please explain it again? I raised my hand and pointed to the example question in the textbook. The teacher was an old man of some age. Perhaps it was the first time someone asked a question in class. He smiled gratifyingly. Okay, this, classmate Jiang Qiqi, I want to praise you. Your learning spirit is really commendable. Regarding this learning spirit, we have to start from 100 years ago. I stared at the teacher in disbelief. He talked from math to history and I still didn't get the explanation of the question I wanted to hear until the class was over. After class, I watched the teacher fly out like the wind. Seeing this, Meng Qing immediately interrupted, Chi-Chi, don't you know how to do it? Let Yixuan teach you. Yixuan's math is really... Before Meng Qing could finish her sentence, a math textbook appeared in front of me. It was Lu Jingqing. He yawned and sat in front of me. Which question? I didn't react. Which question didn't you understand just now? I understood what he meant. I opened the example question just now. His beautiful fingers landed on the textbook, and he picked up a blank piece of paper beside him and started to solve the problem. Meng Qing was stunned and also leaned over. After Lu Jingqing finished writing the solution, he moved the paper in front of me. On the white paper, all the problem-solving ideas of that question were clearly written. I could even understand the solution of this question without him explaining. He stretched and patted my head. Wait for me to go home together after school tonight. I nodded. He got up and was about to leave. Meng Qing suddenly stood up from the chair. Jingqing, I also have a question that I don't understand. Can you teach me? Teacher Chen's office is just downstairs. Lu Jingqing refused her without looking back. Meng Qing seemed to be frozen. Behind her, my heart was pounding. How on earth did I manage to hate Lu Jingqing so much in my previous life? 6. After school, as soon as I packed my things, Lu Jingqing was already waiting for me at the door. I smiled and walked towards him. Meng Qing popped out again. Chi-Chi, my stomach hurts so much. I'm feeling so uncomfortable. I ignored her and continued to walk towards Lu Jingqing. Meng Qing directly grabbed my hand. Chi-Chi, I'm really in pain. I was so speechless. Did she think others were fools just because they didn't get angry? If you're not feeling well, go see a doctor. Why are you pulling me? Am I a doctor? Meng Qing let go of my hand. Then, she started crying. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Lu Jingqing stepped forward. I'll take you there. I didn't understand. Meng Qing looked up. Aren't you feeling unwell? I'll take you to the hospital. Lu Jingqing repeated it again. When Meng Qing heard this, she replied softly with an okay. Then she bypassed me and left with Lu Jingqing. I stood there in a daze. 2 seconds later, it felt as if something tugged at my heart, and I felt a bit uncomfortable. After taking several deep breaths, I watched as the people in the classroom gradually dispersed, and I walked away along with the crowd. On the way home, I couldn't help but kick the stones at my feet a couple of times. As a result, when I exerted a bit too much force, I sprained my ankle. My tense emotions exploded in an instant. I plopped down on the ground directly. What the hell? Why am I so unlucky? It's all Lu Jingqing's fault. Didn't he say we'd go together? He's a damned liar. I'll make sure you can't have what you want in this life either. Buddy, can't have what I want. I was startled. When I looked up and saw Lu Jingqing, I got even angrier. Ignoring the pain in my foot, I got up and walked away. Lu Jingqing followed. I gave him a dirty look. Stay away from me. He raised his eyebrows, looked at my limping figure, and stopped. I thought to myself, so he's not going to explain. Fine. I continued walking forward quickly, maybe because I was trying to do 2 things at once. I didn't see the sign that said no entry. Below it was a sewer covered with an iron sheet. By the time I realized it, I had already been pulled back by Lu Jingqing. Don't you care about your life? Can't you see that huge sign up there? I only realized it later, and then my eyes turned red. Leave me alone. I'm not talking to liars. Even if I die today and jump down from here, I won't pay attention to you. Lu Jingqing was amused by me, but I was fuming with anger. Seeing that he didn't seem to want to explain, I turned around and walked away. After taking 2 steps, I was pulled back again. Yes, I'm a liar. Hearing his words, half of my anger subsided, but I still didn't plan to pay attention to him and just walked forward on my own. But because of my sprained ankle, I had to be careful with every step. Suddenly, Lu Jingqing quickly walked in front of me and squatted down. 7. Come on, I'll carry you on my back. I felt a bit pleased inside, but since I wasn't completely over my anger yet, I coughed twice and said in a sarcastic tone, Is this back only for me, or do you carry others too? Lu Jingqing chuckled. Come on, it's only for you. Getting a satisfactory answer, I jumped onto his back. He carried me and walked slowly. I brought my mouth close to his ear. Aren't you going to explain? His tone was calm. For someone insignificant, is it necessary? I sneered and tightened my hands around his neck. She may not be necessary, but you stood me up today. Lu Jingqing stopped in his tracks and looked back at me. The moment our eyes met, my face blushed again, much to my annoyance. I had thought that Lu Jingqing would tell me righteously that nothing had happened between them. Instead, he actually asked me, Jiang Qiqi, have you been possessed? The air suddenly fell silent. and the corners of my mouth almost dropped to the ground. Okay, I'm not joking anymore. I took her to the entrance of the mental hospital, and then I came back. I burst out laughing. And Lu Jingqing laughed too. He just kept carrying me forward. In a trance, I seemed to see our future. He walked very slowly, stretching a 5-minute journey into 20 minutes. When we got to the door of my house, I saw a familiar figure. Chi-Chi, why are you so late today? Oh, Jingqing is here too. It was my stepmother, Xia Chenxiao. The moment she saw me getting off Lu Jingqing's back, the smile on her face faded. I nodded politely at her. Just as I was about to go home, Lu Jingqing took my hand. I'll come pick you up at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. I was a bit confused. Wasn't tomorrow Saturday? He added, to give you tutoring. I smiled and agreed. I watched him leave before going inside. After changing into my slippers, Xia Chenxiao crept up beside me without me noticing. Her obsequious smile made me feel uncomfortable all over. Chi-Chi, why did you come back with Jingqing today? It's not that I'm saying this, but it's always better for you to stay away from him. Have you forgotten what I told you before? I continued with what I was doing and replied perfunctorily, it was too long ago, I can't remember clearly. She didn't give up and came closer again. Chi-Chi, don't you want to live your whole life under surveillance? I nodded, yeah. Is there anything else? If not, I'll go upstairs first. After that, I walked straight to my room. After doing my homework for a while, I felt thirsty, so I went downstairs to get a glass of water. As I passed by Xia Chuanxiao's room, I heard some noise inside. My curiosity drove me to get closer. Mom, I must be with Jingqing. I can't let that bitch Jiang Chi-Chi steal him away. It was Meng Qing's voice. Mom knows. I don't know what's wrong with that little bitch today. She suddenly clung to Lu Jingqing. But it doesn't matter. You make the arrangements on your end. And I'll ask Jiang Yanwei to dissolve the engagement between Jiang Chi-Chi and Lu Jingqing. Then she won't be able to marry him even if she wants to. I looked at the hot water in my hand and smiled. Why does she think that my dad will take her side? 8. Back then, my dad married Xia Chenxiao just to find me a companion. I knew better than anyone that my dad not only didn't love Xia Chenxiao, but after all these years of getting along, he already knew what kind of person Xia Chenxiao was. The stupid ones are the Xia Chenxiao family. Do they really think that all rich people are brainless idiots, except for me in my previous life? I carried the water and quietly went back to my room. Early the next morning, I got up at 8 o'clock to get ready. At 9 o'clock, I went out on time, but I didn't see Lu Jingqing. Instead, I saw Meng Qing and Song Yishuan. I slammed the door shut, and there came a knock on the door. Chi-Chi, we specially invited you to go to the library with us. Yishuan is really good at math and can help you. I replied impatiently, no need. After a while, I heard the sound of a motorcycle stopping outside. I pulled open the curtain and saw Lu Jingqing. I ran very fast, ignoring Meng Qing and Song Yishuan who were standing aside. 10 minutes later, I appeared at the main entrance of the library, but I didn't bring a single book. I looked at the school bag behind Lu Jingqing, and then at myself. I was the fool after all. Where are your books? I felt like crying but had no tears. I forgot to bring them. I couldn't very well say that I thought your mention of going to the library yesterday was just an excuse, and that you actually wanted to go on a date with me. Could I? Lu Jingqing looked at my face carefully. Finally, he reached out his hand, and his finger gently brushed across my cheek. You put on a bit too much foundation. Pay attention next time. In the library, Lu Jingqing sat beside me, took out the math book, and started explaining the problems. I listened with sleepy eyes for the whole morning until I saw the clock in the library pointing to 12. I picked up my coat and was about to leave. Lu Jingqing tried to hold me back, but I dodged. Student Lu, I'm hungry and I really need to eat. Please let me go. After taking a taxi home, I could smell the aroma of braised pork ribs even before entering the door. If there were no surprises, I would be able to see my busy father today. I opened the door, and sure enough, my dad was sitting on the sofa. In the kitchen, Xia Chenxiao was busy. Tisk, she can only show off her skills in cooking. I threw down my coat and threw myself into my dad's arms. Come to think of it, ever since I got together with Song Yishuan, my dad had been completely disappointed in me. So I never saw him again until I died. Dad, I missed you so much. I rubbed against my dad's arms. He was a bit stunned, and then he patted my head. What do you want to buy this time? When I heard that, I pouted. Can't your daughter act coquettishly with you if she doesn't want to buy anything? As soon as I finished speaking, Xia Chenxiao brought out the last dish from the kitchen. Time to eat. Come on, Chi-Chi. There's also the braised pork ribs you like today. I pulled my dad and got up to go to the dining table. 9. During the meal, I kept putting food on Jiang Yanwei's plate. Xia Chenxiao beside me didn't even have room to put the food she wanted to pick up. In my previous life, not only did I not listen to Jiang Yanwei, but I also opposed him everywhere, which made my own father disappointed in me. This time, pleasing my own father is the second step of my counterattack. Oh, Chi-Chi has grown up and knows how to show filial piety to your dad. Xia Chenxiao spoke at an inappropriate time. I ignored her, and my dad smiled politely. During this meal, Xia Chenxiao felt extremely awkward. She couldn't get a word in edgewise, and she couldn't even pick up any food. After the meal, I climbed upstairs, then I suddenly remembered that my phone was still on the sofa, so I turned back. My dad and Xia Chenxiao were still eating. When I was almost at the bottom of the stairs, I heard Xia Chenxiao's voice, Yanwei. I think there's something wrong with Chi-Chi today. She must have something she wants to ask you for. I stopped in my tracks and sat directly on the stairs. I wanted to see what Xia Chenxiao was up to. My dad was still eating, and Xia Chenxiao continued, Yanwei, I won't hide it from you. Chi-Chi told me yesterday that she really doesn't want to marry Lu Jingqing, but she's too afraid to tell you herself, so she asked me to tell you. After hearing that, my dad frowned but still didn't say anything. At that time, my dad also knew that I disliked Lu Jingqing, but he always thought that as long as the engagement wasn't dissolved, we would still make up. He always prefers gentle persuasion to force. Maybe he also guessed that I was acting coquettishly with him today to talk about this matter, so he didn't refute. Seeing this, Xia Chenxiao put down her chopsticks and continued to exaggerate. Oh, Yanwei, although Jingqing is very excellent, there's nothing we can do if Chi-Chi doesn't like him. Who told you I don't like him? I couldn't stand it anymore and got up and walked out. She and Mengqing are truly mother and daughter. They say the same things. When Xia Chenxiao saw me, her face turned ashen. Chi-Chi, why did you come down? I sneered and sat beside my dad. This is my home. I can go up or down whenever I want. It's not your place to tell me what to do, is it? Xia Chenxiao's face became even uglier. After all, I had never talked to her like that before. Before this, our relationship was still passable. Chi-Chi, also, I've never told you that I don't want to marry Lu Jingqing. She called my name, but I interrupted her and continued. As soon as my dad heard that, he beamed with joy and took my hand. Chi-Chi, do you really think so? Dad thought you really didn't like that boy from the Lu family. I held my dad's hand back. Dad, I wrongly blamed you before. I thought you arranged this engagement for your own sake. So many people want to marry into the Lu family, but I was ungrateful. I was so wrong. After that, my dad and I hugged each other and cried. Seeing this, Xia Chenxiao immediately found an excuse to leave, but how could I let her off so easily? Aunt Xia, you heard what I said, right? Don't make decisions for me anymore in the future, otherwise, I can't guarantee what I might say. Xia Chenxiao stopped in her tracks, looked at me, nodded, and then ran away. 10. After dealing with everything, I went back to my room contentedly and took a nap after getting my phone. When I woke up again, it was already 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I went downstairs feeling parched to get some water and found that there was already a glass of water poured on the coffee table. Maybe I had learned my lesson, so I didn't touch that glass of water. Instead, I refilled a cup from the water dispenser. Just as I took a sip of the newly filled water, my phone rang. I took 2 more sips and was about to answer the call, but after taking 2 steps, my vision actually became a bit blurry. I forced myself to walk to the coffee table. My vision became more and more blurry. I picked up my phone, and the caller ID showed Lu Jingqing. Before I could answer, I lost consciousness. In the last moment before losing consciousness, I panicked. Am I going to die again? Can I be resurrected by watching the Brain Gold advertisement this time? The moment I regained consciousness, I instinctively reached out to touch my body. Thank goodness, I was still in my physical form, but when I looked again, the decoration style here was that of a hotel. I looked at the white bedsheet on my body and realized that my clothes were already gone, leaving only 2 pieces of cloth to cover my modesty. I widened my eyes and found that there was a man lying beside me. When I saw his face clearly, I was almost scared to death. It was Song Yishuan. I pulled the quilt over me and ran to the corner wrapped in the quilt. Song Yishuan got up when he heard the noise. When he saw me in the corner, he smiled. Sorry, it's out of necessity. I have to wrong you for now. I thought something was seriously wrong. If Song Yishuan was here, it meant that this matter definitely had something to do with Meng Qing and her mother. I had already witnessed how ruthless they were in my previous life. Maybe because I hadn't fallen out with my dad and my relationship with Lu Jingqing had also improved, I might have already watched the advertisement again, playing dirty tricks. What do you want? If you want money, I have it too. I'm much richer than Meng Qing, let me go, and I'll give you double the amount. Song Yishuan's eyes sparkled, and then he sighed, although that's the case, it's already too late. I won't do anything to betray my employer either. I gritted my teeth. And my hands trembled involuntarily. What the hell, a money grubber playing the loyalty card, do you even deserve it? If I'm not wrong, Meng Qing wants to ruin me. The next second, there came a fierce crashing sound at the door. I panicked completely and had already imagined the headline news for tomorrow. Song Yishuan stood up and said to me as he walked, "Sorry, Miss Jiang, I also," bang, the door was kicked open, and Song Yishuan was knocked to the ground with a punch. I looked up and saw that it was Lu Jingqing. There were still some fine beads of sweat on his forehead, and his eyes were bloodshot, as if he had just been crying. Seeing him, even though I had thought it was no big deal at first, my eyes instantly turned red. He walked quickly towards me and pulled me into his arms. "Chi-Chi, I'm sorry. I'm late." 11. I was carried home in a princess carry by Lu Jingqing. After Song Yishuan was taken away by the police, he immediately revealed his true colors and confessed everything. My dad, upon learning about this, even cancelled his plane ticket to Country M. When my dad saw me, I was lying beside Lu Jingqing and eating a cake. When my dad saw me like this, he first patted Lu Jingqing on the shoulder, and then slumped down in relief. "Thank you, Jingqing, if it weren't for you, I really don't know what would have happened to Chi-Chi today." As soon as my dad finished speaking, the door opened again. "Is my daughter-in-law okay?" I heard the voice before seeing the person. It was Lu Jingqing's mother. The moment I saw his mother, I was still amazed, including the previous times. I hadn't seen his mother for almost 5 or 6 years. I have to say, Lu Jingqing's mother is really beautiful, and the more I look at her, the more beautiful she seems. I have no resistance to good-looking sisters. I put down the cake in my hand and replied with a smile, "Aunt Lu, I'm fine. Look, I'm still full of energy." Afraid that she wouldn't believe me, I got off the sofa and jumped twice. Seeing this, Lu Jingqing's mother patted her chest, then pulled me to her side and hugged me tightly. "Oh, my little baby, it's good that you're okay. You almost scared me to death, Auntie." After chatting for a long time, my dad's face turned serious after answering a phone call. "Xia Chunxiao booked a plane ticket to Country F just now." After saying that, Lu Jingqing sat up from the sofa, and my dad didn't hesitate. He picked up the car keys and was about to leave. I also trotted along behind. Lu Jingqing glanced at me. "Go back. Little girls shouldn't join in the fun for this kind of thing." I shook my head and insisted on going with them. Besides, I'm no longer a little girl, having experienced death once. My mentality is like that of an 80-year-old woman. I've even seen the way I died miserably. How could I be afraid of them catching Xia Chunxiao? No, Xia Chunxiao has caused me so much suffering. If I don't see her being caught with my own eyes, I'll be so miserable. I acted coquettishly while holding Lu Jingqing's arm, and he had to nod in agreement. The airport was a long way away, and my dad drove very fast. I felt a bit dizzy in the back seat, seeing that I was uncomfortable. Lu Jingqing pressed my head against his shoulder. "It will be better if you close your eyes." 20 minutes later, we arrived at the airport. The police car arrived at the place almost at the same time. After getting out of the car, my dad greeted the police. When he turned around and saw me being supported by Lu Jingqing, his eyes lit up. "Ah, Jingqing, take good care of Chi-Chi. I'll go and look for someone first." Lu Jingqing nodded and slowly dragged me forward while I was retching. There were a lot of people in the airport, and because I was carsick, I could only sit at the entrance with Lu Jingqing and wait. Lu Jingqing held a bottle of water in one hand and supported me with the other. He sighed. "I just said don't come with us, but you insisted. See, now you're carsick." I whined melodramatically. "Woo, my head is so dizzy." He gave me a helpless look and then started massaging my temples. I closed my eyes and didn't notice the fierce gaze behind me at all. 12. Chi-Chi. "Behind you," my dad's heart-rending shout came. I opened my eyes and found that Meng Qing was actually holding a knife in her hand and rushing towards me. I quickly pushed Lu Jingqing away. To be honest, after being hit and killed by a car in my previous life, I'd become immune to any tools that can harm me. Lu Jingqing was pushed away by me. The moment Meng Qing got close to me, I nimbly dodged. She was still cursing nonstop. "Jiang Chi-Chi, it's you who stole everything from me. You even stole my mother." Why do you still get to live? Why?" She was shouting behind me while I was running in front. Xia Chunxiao was brought over by the police. She cried and called out to Meng Qing, "Qingqing, stop quickly, Mom was wrong. Don't do anything stupid." Meng Qing kept chasing after me, unwilling to give up. The police from all directions raised their guns, and I successfully ran to the safe area. Meng Qing looked at the scene in front of her and stopped in her tracks as if waking up from a dream. Then she knelt down and sat on the ground, the knife in her hand slipped, and she looked ahead with empty eyes. The police immediately arrested her and put handcuffs on her. Only then did I take 2 deep breaths. Lu Jingqing walked up to me. I couldn't stand anymore and collapsed into his arms. Looking at Meng Qing's back as she was being taken away, I sighed. She was indeed a poor soul. Her own mother abandoned her, worked as a cook for someone else's family for more than 10 years, and in the end, didn't end up well. I shook my head and sighed again. Since when have I become so benevolent? Her mother and daughter almost cost you your life twice. I slapped myself on the face with a slap sound. Lu Jingqing was stunned and quickly protected my face. "What are you doing? Don't do anything stupid." 13. After Meng Qing and Xia Chunxiao were arrested, I never heard any news about them again and focused on preparing for the college entrance examination. After the college entrance examination, my grades were surprisingly good, a full 50 points higher than in my previous life. I was so excited that I danced around while calling Lu Jingqing, but I heard him sighing and complaining. My heart skipped a beat. Could it be that he didn't perform well in the exam? It's okay. Everyone has times when they don't do well in the exam. Worst case scenario. I'll repeat the senior year with you. I seemed to have made up my mind, but Lu Jingqing laughed. Didn't perform well. I didn't say that. I looked at his back, feeling mixed emotions inside. When my dad learned about my grades, he was so excited that he couldn't sleep all night. The next morning, he pulled me into the study and said to me mysteriously, "Chi-Chi, you did so well in the exam this time. Dad thinks your talent shouldn't be limited to the country." I was shocked. It seemed that he was going to let me study abroad. "So Dad has decided to send you abroad. The school has already been found. It's the best one in country M." My dad kept talking, but I was stunned. Was I going to be separated from Lu Jingqing this time too? If I went abroad, the distance between us wouldn't be just 2,000 kilometers. "Dad, what about Lu Jingqing?" I asked. My dad didn't hesitate. "Jingqing will definitely go with you." After he said that, I couldn't hear anything else he said clearly. Going to university with Lu Jingqing. This sentence kept repeating in my mind. 14. 2 months later, Lu Jingqing and I said goodbye to our families at the airport. At the airport, I suddenly remembered Meng Qing and the others, so I casually asked my dad, "How are Meng Qing and the others?" My dad waved his hand. "They've already been sent to do hard labor in prison." He said this lightly, as if Meng Qing was just an insignificant person. Hearing this, Lu Jingqing tightened his hold on my hand. The moment the plane took off, Lu Jingqing whispered in my ear, "Miss Jiang Chi-Chi, would you like to have a campus romance with me?" I looked at the plane gradually leaving the ground and nodded firmly. Story 2. On the day my amniotic fluid broke prematurely, my husband was busy celebrating his ex-girlfriend's birthday. I died on a street corner waiting for help. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back in high school. A handsome, sunny boy sitting behind me blushed as he asked if I would be his girlfriend. "Stop with the disgusting talk. Don't let me hear that again." At school, everyone was talking about how Jiang He's devoted follower, Lin Yan, had fallen for someone else. She hadn't brought Jiang He his usual morning milk, nor had she brought him drinks and towels during basketball, nor had she saved him a seat in the library. She wasn't even chattering beside him during breaks. She's been following him for almost a year, and she's just giving up. Maybe she's just throwing a tantrum, waiting for Jiang He to sweet-talk her. I think it's really a change of heart. I heard the school heartthrob from Third High is chasing her. With a slap, Jiang He slammed his English book on the desk. "It's reading time now. If you want to gossip, go outside." Just as he said this, I happened to walk to the door. The classroom fell silent. Dozens of eyes stared directly at me, pretending not to notice. I walked to my seat, pulled out the chair, and sat down. When I opened my bag, there were 2 glass bottles of milk inside. It must have been the aunt at home who, out of habit, heated 2 cups of milk, forgetting I had said I only needed 1 from now on. Jiang He's deskmate, Zhang Xiaoyang, nudged his arm and whispered, "Lin Yan is trying to make amends with you. I told you she wouldn't last a few days." Jiang He's eyes flickered, but in his line of sight, I handed the milk to my deskmate instead. "Here, you drink it." Song Ning, visibly shocked, asked uncertainly, "For me?" I nodded. Then, I opened my Chinese textbook and started to read silently. Song Ning leaned closer, curious. Yan Yan, why have you started studying? I didn't look up. I'm thinking about getting into class next semester. I had entered the school with the second highest score in the city but had deliberately underperformed on the first monthly test to be in the same class as Jiang He, dropping from class A to class F. But now, I had no reason to stay in this class, thinking about the boy behind me, who, 9 years later, would become my husband. Yet, when I was struggling to carry our new life, he lingered in the tenderness of his first love, our child. Carrying his blood, hadn't even seen the world before dying with me on that cold night. I couldn't forgive him, so, it was time to end this tragic connection early. At noon, I went with Song Ning to the cafeteria. After the chef served me the pork rib rice I wanted, he smiled and asked, "What are you getting for Jiang He today?" "We have his favorite squirrel fish." I paused. I remembered how passionately and boldly I pursued Jiang He during high school. I stuffed his desk full of love letters. Despite the principal's warnings, I confessed loudly to him with a megaphone on the podium under the fluttering flag. Even the cafeteria chef knew his favorite dishes. Everyone knew I liked Jiang He. It was almost like I was a joke, determined to bash my head against the south wall without turning back. Now, thinking about it, it all seemed ridiculous. I shook my head. I'm not getting his food anymore. I paused, then added, I won't do it ever again. The chef paused in his motion to serve the squirrel fish, and I turned and walked away with Song Ning. Unexpectedly, we met Jiang He at the end of the line. Our eyes met, and he looked stunned. I moved my gaze away first and walked off without looking back. Song Ning whispered, "Lin Yan, what's going on? Why are you suddenly ignoring Jiang He?" I sat at the table, mixing the pork rib sauce with white rice. It was nothing special. Just that life used to be quite dull before, she said. After I stopped revolving my life around Jiang He, I realized how much free time I actually had. I could chat with the girls about celebrity gossip, share my favorite strawberry milkshakes and donuts. With the guys, I could arm wrestle or see who could throw paper airplanes the farthest. I took out the old exercise books from my desk and gradually finished them. During breaks, I'd feed the stray cats at school and even made them a shelter out of old cardboard boxes. A high school life without constant worry turned out to be youthful and wonderful. Several days passed, and then came our school's basketball tournament. The homeroom teacher asked us all to go to the playground to cheer for our classmates. I remember in my past life, I even formed a cheerleading squad and learned a complicated dance to support Jiang He's team, but due to a mishap in a lift, I was dropped hard on the ground, resulting in multiple injuries. Eventually, Jiang He's team won the game with a high score amidst a sky full of congratulations and applause. His eyes shone with brotherhood and honor, but I was absent from his gaze. This time, I used feeling unwell as an excuse to ask the teacher for leave and stayed back in the classroom to memorize English vocabulary. Such silly, absurd things. I thought I'd never do them again in my life. Song Ning came running back halfway through and said to me, "Today, Jiang He was completely off his game." Kept glancing at the spectator stands as if he was looking for someone. After saying that, she looked at me and asked, "Yan Yan, could he have been looking for you?" "No way," I replied, continuing to write down English words, calmly denying it. During this period, Jiang He's dislike for Lin Yan Yan was practically written all over his face. He was happier when I wasn't there. Song Ning continued to ramble on about the game. I really wasn't in the mood to listen. And although I didn't want to interrupt her, I excused myself to go get some hot water. Just as I stepped out of the classroom, I saw a few people walking quickly towards me. Just as I was stepping aside, Zhang Xiaoyang, supporting Jiang He, shouted at me, "Lin Yan Yan, don't you have a pain relief spray? Quick, bring it for Jiang He. He's hurt." Indeed, because Jiang He liked playing basketball, I had prepared a small medical kit with many imported medicines not available on the market, which were very effective for bruises and sprains. However, he had clearly won the match in my previous life. How could he be injured this time? "Lin Yan Yan, what are you spacing out for?" Zhang Xiaoyang urged anxiously. I snapped back to reality, glanced at Jiang He's swollen ankle, and said with an indifferent voice, "It expired." I threw it away. After saying that, I took my water cup to the water room to fill it up, not sparing him even a glance. What was I thinking? His injury, what does it have to do with me? He didn't care a bit about my pain in the past life. Why should I feel sorry for him? Behind me, Zhang Xiaoyang gasped in shock, and a piercing gaze seemed to bore into my back, as if trying to drill a hole through me. Jianhee took leave due to his foot injury and didn't come to school for 2 days. When my mother heard about this, she had the maid make bone soup and insisted I deliver it to Jianhee to help him recover. Just because our families have been close for generations and she watched Jianhee grow up, she insisted that I personally visit him, only then would she be at ease. Although I repeatedly expressed my reluctance, it was hard to withstand my mother's insistence. She even took measures to ensure I wouldn't run away halfway. He also instructed the driver to make sure I was dropped off right at Jianhee's doorstep. So, there I was, holding a pot of chicken soup, heading to Jianhee's house. It was dusk, and the leaves of the plane trees rustled in the wind as I walked, wrapping my thin coat tighter around me. I got out of the car and was greeted by the sight of a small, 3-story white building. The last rays of the sunset cast an irritating orange hue over it. It was all too familiar. As a child, I often ran over to his house, and we even lived together there for nearly 2 years. Every corner of this place was filled with memories of us, me, trying to comfort him through his heartbreak, and him, promising to treat me well for a lifetime, a promise I believed in. My heart felt like it was being torn apart, the pain making my whole body tremble. After a long while, I calmed down, opened the thermos, and the aromatic scent of bone broth wafted out. I ended up feeding it to a stray dog on the ground. He didn't deserve such a fine soup. Only after the dog had finished it did I prepare to leave. Just as I turned to go, someone called my name. The voice was youthful yet familiar, but I was too indifferent to even turn around. Jianhee quickly caught up to me, his cane wobbling, nearly causing him to fall right in front of me. Sweat beaded on his pale forehead as he almost choked out, "Lin Yen, what on earth are you thinking?" Swallowing the bitterness in my throat, I looked at the boy before me, once my dearest, now just defiant and youthful. I curved my lips into a half-smile, my expression cold and fearless. "I don't understand what you're saying." With that, I continued walking. He quickly stepped in front of me again, his chest heaving, lips pale. It was clear that even those few steps had been a painful struggle for him. "Why are you ignoring me?" Jianhee's eyes were desperate for answers, but he couldn't read my face. Then, pointing to the ground where the food container lay, he continued, "Wasn't that bone soup for me? Why would you feed it to a dog? You used to insist on visiting me at home, and now you won't even come up. I've been hurt for days, and you haven't shown any concern. Isn't this better?" I cut him off coldly. "After all, you find me annoying." Jianhee was speechless for a moment before he nodded. "Yes, I don't like you pestering me. I'm happier when you stay away from me." He stared at me, a sneer forming. "Lin Yen, you better not be playing some twisted game. You know I hate that game." I couldn't blame Jianhee for thinking that way. In my past life, I did many foolish things to catch his attention, although he eventually became my husband. I never truly won his heart and even met a tragic end on the streets. So, in this life, I won't waste any more time or emotions on him. "You think too highly of yourself. I don't have time to play games with you." My voice was flat, emotionless. The bone soup was my mother's idea. She insisted the driver bring it. "You know how she is. Just pretend you've already had it, and don't bother me." Jianhee's look was one of disbelief. "You think I'm a dog?" I shrugged. "If that's what you think, I can't help it." Without giving him a chance to argue, I walked away. Seeing him every day at school was already enough torture. Now, I just wanted to disappear. But just a few steps later, the thermos suddenly arced through the air and crashed to the ground with a bang. Then came Jianhee's furious voice. "I sure as hell don't need your damn soup." Since the soup incident, Jianhee and I had not spoken a word to each other. I'd decided to no longer be involved with anything related to him. Instead of desperately trying to win his favor, I've shifted all my focus to my studies, aiming to return to Class A as soon as possible. Once I'm back in Class A, I won't have to see him every day. With the college entrance exams 2 years away, unlike my previous life, I won't deliberately downgrade my academic track to stay in the same city he chooses for university. Watching him break up and get back together with his first love in a dramatic cycle. I plan to distance myself far from all this drama, ideally to the point where our paths never cross again in this lifetime. However, the high school curriculum is proving quite challenging for me at the moment, so I asked my mom to find a tutor to help me catch up. Among many candidates, I chose Xijing, a top student from Class A who significantly outperformed me in the middle school entrance exams and attended the same school and grade as I did. Our first conversation was notably straightforward. I said, "I want to improve my grades as quickly as possible to return to Class A." He simply replied, "Leave it to me." I began to spend more time with Xijing, accumulating questions about problems I couldn't solve and then visiting him during breaks to discuss them. We even started to meet at a nearby fast food restaurant after school to work through questions together. Over time, new rumors began to swirl at our school. People said that I had stopped obsessing over Jiang He because I had shifted my affection towards Xi Jing, using my studies as an excuse to harass this academic achiever, which they found repulsive. Xi Jing's fan club, particularly the girls, were not pleased. One day after school, they cornered me behind the academic building. Lin Yan, stay away from Xi Jing. Someone from Class F like you doesn't deserve to be around him, said a girl with a buzz cut, muscular build, and taller than me, likely a shot put specialist from Class C. The three girls with her, though not as tall, looked just as menacing. They quickly formed a circle, trapping me in the middle. Trying to remain calm, I said, Xi Jing is my tutor. I pay him for his services, and I haven't taken any undue advantage. The girl with the buzz cut scoffed, what tutor? Isn't that just your excuse to hit on Xi Jing? Lin Yan, you're shameless. You went to extremes chasing Jiang He and now you're harassing Xi Jing. Even as a girl, I'm embarrassed for you. You're truly disgusting. Another added, he'll never like someone as fickle and academically indifferent as you. Xi Jing is a good student. If his grades drop because of you and it affects his college entrance, can you bear the responsibility? I was speechless. Yes, I admit I was a bit of a romantic fool before, but I've since reformed and am focused on my studies. Why does helping me with a few questions upset them so much? Especially when I'm paying for his help. Enough talking. The buzzcut girl lost her patience and stepped forward, bumping into me with her chest, pushing me back several steps. You won't realize your mistake until we teach you a lesson. As they rolled up their sleeves, ready to start a fight, Xi Jing suddenly appeared. He grabbed my wrist and pulled me behind him. His tall frame and broad shoulders exuded an air of inviolability. The girls, who had been aggressive moments before, instantly changed their demeanor, showing a mix of innocence and cuteness at his arrival. Xi Jing, don't be fooled by Lin Yan, they pleaded. She's just a schemer, couldn't chase after Jiang He so now she's bothering you, they said. We're just looking out for you. She's a poor student from Class F. What if she affects your studies? She just wants to date you, unlike us, who truly care for you. While they called me a schemer, they continued to gossip. At that moment, someone nearby spoke up. Lin Yan is my sugar daddy, they declared loudly, leaving even me momentarily stunned. Xi Jing confidently put his arm around my shoulders and announced, I rely on her for my livelihood. Anyone who tries to cut off my financial support will have to deal with me. After his bold declaration, he quickly pulled me away amidst the shocked stares of everyone around us. Finally, we stepped out of the school. He held my shoulder, turning me around to check from head to toe. Did you lose out on anything? He asked. I shook my head. He sighed in relief. That's good, I'll handle those people. They won't bully you anymore. You won't stop me from tutoring you because of this, will you? I can safely say no one could teach you better than I do. Seeing my silence, he grew anxious. I'll take over your duties too. I'll even fetch hot water for you until you graduate. From now on, you're my boss, he said, looking down, his scent of cedar filling the air. Is that okay, Lin Yan? I found him amusing and nodded my head. Honestly, Xi Jing really has a knack for explaining things, and I'd probably struggle with a new tutor. His expression relaxed. From now on, when I come to your class, if they have to say something, let them talk about me. The next day during the big class break, Xi Jing showed up in my class as arranged. You know, Class A students are academically excellent and proud, usually disdainful of mixing with Class F students. His arrival instantly caused a sensation in the class. Under the gaze of dozens of eyes, Xi Jing confidently walked up to me, casually took the pen from my hand, glanced at the math problem I couldn't solve, and quickly jotted down the solution on a scrap paper. I admiringly gave him a thumbs up. A true genius indeed. Behind me, Zhang Xiaoyang nudged Jiang He's arm and whispered, that's Xi Jing, the one who's been getting close to Lin Yan recently. Jiang He scoffed and turned his head to continue sleeping. But just a few seconds later, he sat upright and kicked my stool's leg hard. Lin Yan, you're disturbing my sleep, he complained. I frowned at him. I had been quietly studying the problem. Besides, the class was noisy everywhere, much louder than me, so I ignored him and continued discussing the problem with Xi Jing. Out of nowhere, a ballpoint pen flew from behind and hit my notebook, leaving a long black line. Damn it. Just when I'd solved the problem, Jiang He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, legs on the table, looking unapproachable. "We from Class F don't welcome people from Class A, be sensible and get out," he said, a bottom-ranked class rejecting a top student that was just looking for trouble. I took a deep breath and retorted, "Jiang-hee, if you're sick, go take your medicine, don't go crazy here." Jiang-hee's face darkened completely, his eyes fixed on me fiercely. Zhang Xiaoyang and Song Ning were so frightened that they gasped for air. I glared at him, turned my head, and began to tidy up the books on the table. "Shi Jing, let's go to the rooftop and ignore the lunatic." After saying that, I grabbed Shi Jing's hand and walked out. The noisy classroom suddenly fell silent, and all eyes were on us. Behind me, Zhang Xiaoyang muttered softly, "Damn, is she really with Shi Jing?" Jiang-hee was silent, due to Jiang-hee's disturbance. The long break was almost over. I made plans with Shi Jing to meet at the milk tea shop after school to study together. However, when I packed my bag and was ready to leave in the evening, Jiang-hee appeared at the classroom door. Considering his behavior during the day, I didn't want to waste words and planned to ignore him and leave, but he blocked my way. "I heard you want to get into Class A." I was a bit impatient. "Yes, what about it?" "I'll find you a tutor," he said, staring down at me. "The best one. I don't need it. Shi Jing is enough for me." Jiang-hee's face turned ugly, and he gritted out a few words. "What does he know? Anyway, he knows more than you." I pushed past him and walked away without looking back. 6. Under Shi Jing's guidance, my academic performance improved by leaps and bounds. I achieved good results in several quizzes. However, I was still some distance away from returning to Class A. One day, when I was writing a physics test paper, Song Ning rushed in from outside, holding a bag of snacks. "I heard that a transfer student will come to our class later." I paused my pen, calculating the time. She should be coming. The class bell rang. Just like in my previous life, Jiang-hee carried her into the classroom on his back. On her way to report to Class F, she got lost. When she passed by the basketball court, she was hit on the leg by Jiang-hee's basketball. I looked at Bai Jinjin's face. To be honest, she wasn't really good looking. Her eyes weren't big, her nose wasn't straight, her skin wasn't fair, and she wasn't very smart. She was thin and small, barely considered delicate, yet, such a person could make Jiang-hee defy his parents' orders and even go on a hunger strike to protest, just to make her his girlfriend. I almost witnessed the entire process of their relationship, from being affectionate to breaking up, getting back together, and finally breaking up again. In fact, I kind of took advantage of the situation. At that time, Jiang-hee was deeply hurt. He got drunk every day, looking haggard. I just accompanied him. I drank with him, smoked with him, and stayed with him when he couldn't sleep. I cried when he cried and laughed when he laughed. Just like that, after getting drunk one time, he pinned me down on the bed. When he woke up, he was dazed for a while, and then he said he wanted to marry me. I laughed until I cried. I thought that all deep affection would not be let down. Who knew that when I was 7 months pregnant, these two people went on a date behind my back? I was just a side note in their magnificent love story. Bai Jinjin's seat was arranged in front of mine. Jiang-hee carried her carefully and placed her on the seat. She looked up, her cheeks slightly red, and whispered a "thank you." Jiang-hee shook his head and said it was nothing. My heart felt bitter. I quickly lowered my head, and tears welled up in my eyes, almost falling. In my previous life, I was arrogant and never regarded the ordinary Bai Jinjin as a rival, but this time, I really wanted to escape. After school, Shi Jing came to me. "Boss, your favorite strawberry milkshake." It's funny to say, although Shi Jing is my tutor, I should be the one providing him with good food and drink, but he always buys me all kinds of delicious food. He claims that it's for a good balance between work and rest, which can improve learning efficiency. I shook my head. "Shi Jing, I want to drink." So the two of us went to the night market behind the school and ordered beer and skewers. Since I decided to study hard, every time I met Shi Jing, we were doing exercises. It was rare to come out and relax. During the meal, neither of us spoke. He was wolfing down skewers, and I was gulping down beer. After eating and drinking my fill, I was so dizzy that I could barely stand. He immediately squatted down to carry me. "No need, don't be polite. I ate to have the strength to carry you." Shi Jing carried me without asking for my opinion. "Boss, be happy." He had been with me all the time. When I didn't talk, he also remained silent. It was not until now that he said this. I lay on his back, and tears couldn't help but fall patter, patter. I couldn't tell anyone about my experiences in my previous life. No one could understand my pain. It's like I really wanted to, and should have, hated some people. But these people in this life hadn't done anything. so I had no reason to. Shijing carried me all the way, and I cried all the way. When there was only one intersection left before we reached home, I exhaled softly, Shijing. In this life, I'll be willful just this once. In the future, no one can make me cry again, boss. Shijing's voice was gentle. If you want to be willful, then be willful. Anyway, I'll comfort you. After all, I'm good at studying and don't need to work too hard. I have plenty of time. My heart warmed, and I smiled silently. 7. The monthly exam was getting closer. I started to study even harder, hoping to be transferred to Class A as soon as possible. One day during self-study, Bai Junjun threw a paper ball over and quietly asked me to pass it to Jianghe behind me. I was looking at the key points marked by Shijing, and this sudden action interrupted me. I was a bit annoyed. I remembered that in my previous life, it was the same. At that time, I was extremely hostile to all the girls who wanted to get close to Jianghe. I immediately opened the paper ball and found a chocolate candy and a little ghost face she drew. I was instantly furious and unceremoniously declared my ownership of Jianghe to her, telling her not to waste her efforts. However, after class, she was crying in Jianghe's arms with red eyes. The way Jianghe looked at me was as if he wanted to kill me. Thinking of this, I just glanced at the paper ball. Miss, it's self-study time. If you don't want to study, it doesn't mean others don't either. Bai Junjun's face turned bright red, and she saidly, it's just passing a note. Is it really necessary for you to be like this? If you really love studying that much, would you be in Class F? Damn it, was she looking down on me? I'm in Class F because I want to be here, not because I only deserve to be here. After saying that, I immediately stood up, packed my things, and threw them on Bai Junjun's desk. Since you want to pass notes so much, fine, I'll switch seats with you. You can pass them to your heart's content. Bai Junjun's eyes were filled with tears, and her teeth left a mark on her lips. Why are you targeting me? I didn't want to snatch Jianghe from you. I just wanted to thank him. Hearing this self-exposing tone, I guessed she must have heard about how I had pursued Jianghe so blatantly. Passing this note was just to embarrass me. Unfortunately, I didn't care anymore. First, you can snatch whoever you want and thank whoever you want. It has nothing to do with me. Second, I've created convenient conditions for you. You should thank me. Then, I pulled her up and sat in her seat. In fact, I had long been fed up with being sandwiched between these two people. I just took this opportunity to leave. Finally, I sincerely hoped that these two people would be locked together and stop harming others. At this moment, Jianghe, who had been lying on the table sleeping, suddenly sat up straight. Seeing us switch seats, he frowned and said, Lin Yen, what do you mean? Since I refused his offer to introduce a tutor to me last time, we hadn't talked for a long time. I turned my head and smiled faintly, helping others achieve their happiness. You're welcome. Jianghe's face looked ugly. Taking the opportunity, Bai Junjun picked up the paper ball and said, I'm sorry, did I wake you up? It's all my fault. I just transferred here and made classmate Lin Yen unhappy. Jianghe, I saw you didn't have breakfast. Do you want to have a chocolate candy? Jianghe was in a bad mood and impatiently knocked the paper ball out of her hand. I fucking hate sweets the most. Bai Junjun's face turned deathly pale instantly. I didn't want to watch the love-hate drama of this couple, so I tidied up my desk and continued studying. Soon, the class ended. I picked up my cup and was about to go to the water room to get some water. Unexpectedly, Bai Junjun snatched my cup first. With that innocent and aggrieved face again, she said, Classmate Lin Yen, I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing during self-study. Let me get water for you. Will you forgive me? No need. If you don't let me get water for you, does it mean you still don't want to forgive me? Do you really hate me that much? My temples were throbbing. It was really tiring to talk to this person. I just want to be friends with classmate Lin Yen. She continued talking to herself and shook the cup in her hand. Don't worry. I'll be quick. Then, without waiting for my reply, she ran out in a flash. Song Ning was also stunned. Is she okay? I shrugged, indicating that I didn't understand. About 5 minutes later, Bai Junjun came in with hot water. Classmate Lin Yen, here you are. I reached out to take it, but she let go in advance and deliberately tilted the cup towards herself. The steaming hot water gushed out and almost all poured onto her hand. Bai Junjun cried out in pain. Classmate Lin Yen, I just wanted to be friends with you. Why can't you forgive me? This shout instantly attracted the attention of the whole class. Can you believe it?